Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the IRB Infrastructure Developers conference call for discussing the audited financial results for the quarter and year ended March 2021. We have with us on the call today Mr. Virendra Mhaiskar, Mr. Sudhir Hoshing, Mr. Anil Yadav, Mr. Mehul Patel, Ms. Purnima Nishal, and Mr. Management. There will be a question and answer session. Please note that the duration of the call would be 45 minutes, and any queries left unanswered after the call can be subsequently mailed to the management for adequate response and resolution. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now request Mr. Anil Yadav to give you an overview of the significant development during the quarter. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
I would like to welcome all investors and analysts on the call. Trust you and your families are well and safe. Hope you all have been able to go through our detailed number as well as the presentation released. In these uncertain and unprecedented times, we have endeavored to ensure the business stability by strengthening our liquidity position and visibility. With this overarching strategy, we expanded our source of funding to offshore market in Q4 of FY21 with a dollar bond issue amounting to 2,200 crores. It's rated, secured, bullet repayment after 3.5 years, and an option to refinance for the similar period again. Being the issuer, IRB was rated as BA1 and BB by the reputed rating agency firms like Moody's and Fitch respectively. We have received an increasing response for the bond, and it was oversubscribed by 2.8 times with a participation seen from the marquee investor like GIC, Baring, MetLife, amongst the other. INR 1,600 crores out of the proceed was deployed for the prepayment of the short-term debt, and balance was earmarked to meet the capex requirement and other general corporate purpose. We have closed the year with a cash of roughly 2,651 crores on hand and total consolidated net corporate debt of 4,000 crores, of which 90% is payable to subsequent to FY23, providing a strong visibility to our cash flow. In the process, we have freed up our credit line with the domestic bank to focus on our project funding for the future wins. During Q4 FY21, we also backed two projects, one BOT in West Bengal, one HAM in Himachal Pradesh, amounting to 3,300 crores, and extending our presence now to 10 Indian states. Thus, during FY21, IRB won three projects totaling to INR 5,000 crores. We await appointed date from NHAI for HAM project in Gujarat, while discussion for the financial closure of most recently won BOT in West Bengal and HAM project in Himachal is going with the lenders. NHAI has further lined up project spanning 4,500 kilometers to be awarded in FY22, amounting to INR 1.2 trillion. Good 15-20% of this is likely to be on BOT basis, while balance will be bid out on HAM and EPC model. This opens up large opportunity for IRB, and we will be keenly participating for BOT and HAM. On operation front, the buoyancy in the toll collection witnessed in Q3 of FY21 continued well into Q4 before resurgence of the COVID in India softened the traffic movement in the select region. Average per day toll collection for IRB plus InvIT portfolio of 11 tolling assets grew at 4.5% on quarter-on-quarter basis to INR 8.2 crores per day, excluding the KR BOT project where the tolling is temporarily halted due to farmers' protest, and Thane Ghodbunder, which is handed over on completion of the concession. The contribution for Thane Ghodbunder project was 1% of the group revenue. It was pleasing to note that within a portfolio, our flagship project Mumbai-Pune reported a growth of 6% on quarter in terms of average per day toll collection for the quarter. Huge surge reported in the cases of during the second wave of COVID has led a travel restriction being effected again, and corresponding reduction in the traffic and collection by almost 20 to 25% across the project. These are targeted lockdowns to restrict the mass gathering and contain the spread, with the least impact on the economic activity and thus sustaining the livelihood for the population at large. Parallelly, the vaccination drive continues at a strong pace in the country and is expected to be a key factor for a stronger rebound in the economic activity as the lockdown relaxed in wake of reduced new COVID cases being reported mostly by June 21. Accordingly, various reputed global agencies are continuing with their forecast for the India GDP in high single digit for FY22, which could correspondingly reflect in the traffic growth for our project. Effective from 1st April 21, tariff has been revised by 3.8% across the NHAI project, and a rising inflation would improve this number for the subsequent year as well. We thus expect the robust growth in the toll collection for ensuing year. Construction and tolling workers has been classified as a frontline worker now and are being vaccinated on priority. Accordingly, we thus far facilitated vaccination of 3,000 of our employee base deployed across various sites, and drive continues. This means that almost 50% of staff strength is already vaccinated. Pandemic has pushed back the construction activity, causing some delay in completion. We have reassessed the state of project and expect to complete all under construction project within extension of time provided by NHAI. FY22 will see the completion of the project one after another, starting with US BOT soon. Total outstanding order is 14,500 crores. With this, I would like to hand over Mr. Tushar Kawedia to take you through the financial analysis before Q&A. Over to you, Tushar.
Thank you, sir. I'll present the financial analysis for Q4 FY21 versus Q4 FY20. The total consolidated income for Q4 FY21 has increased to rupees 1650 crores from rupees 1635 crores for Q4 FY20, registering a growth of 1%. The consolidated toll revenue for Q4 FY21 has increased to rupees 465 crores from rupees 354 crores from Q4 FY20, increased by 31%. The consolidated construction revenues for Q4 FY21 has decreased to rupees 1141 crores from 1230 crores in Q4 FY20, registering a decline of 7%. EBITDA for Q4 FY21 increased to rupees 805 crores from rupees 705 crores in Q4 FY20, registering a growth of 14%. Interest cost has increased to rupees 451 crores in Q4 FY21 from rupees 410 crores in Q4 FY20. Depreciation has increased to rupees 177 crores in Q4 FY21 from rupees 105 crores in Q4 FY20. PBT has decreased to rupees 176 crores in Q4 FY21 from rupees 247 crores in Q4 FY20, registering a decline of 29%. PAT after share of loss from joint venture has decreased to rupees 97 crores in Q4 FY21 from rupees 154 crores in Q4 FY20, registering a decline of 37%. Earning per share on basic and diluted basis, excluding extraordinary income, is at 2.77 for Q4 FY21. I would now present the financial analysis for full year FY21 versus FY20. The total consolidated income for FY21 stood at 5,488 crores as against 7,047 crores in FY20, registering a decline of 22%. The consolidated toll revenues for FY21 has decreased to rupees 1559 crores from rupees 1723 crores in FY20. The consolidated construction revenues for FY21 has decreased to rupees 3,739 crores as against 5,129 crores in FY20, registering a decline of 27%. EBITDA for FY21 decreased to 2,702 crores from rupees 3,166 crores in FY20, registering a decline of 15%. Now I request moderator to open the session for question and answers.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1 now. The first question is from the line of Mohit Kumar from DAM Capital. Please go ahead.
Two questions. First, how is the toll revenues faring in April and May? Have you seen any kind of drop in traffic compared to March? And secondly, on the EPC revenues, of course, it was slightly soft year for us. How do you see, given that we have won now a couple of contracts, how do you see FY22? Do you think that will be back to FY20 numbers as far as EPC revenues are concerned?
Yeah. So Mohit, on your first question about toll revenues, in the month of April, May, we have seen the impact of second wave on our toll collections in most of the projects, and that is ranging in the range of 15 to 20%, depending on the geographical location of the project. On your question on the construction revenue, as you rightly mentioned, that we should be able to reach to the FY20 numbers, considering the two of the projects which we have recently bagged in the month of March will start contributing to the construction revenue for FY22. With that, we should be able to reach to our construction revenue, which we have seen in the FY20.
So clarification, do we have the when do you expect the appointed dates for the projects which have won in the H2 FY21?
We expect the appointed date in 25-30 days time.
For both the projects?
No, for the VM7, and the other projects will take till September.
Okay, understood, sir. Thank you, and best of luck.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rakesh Raj from HDFC Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir, this is Rakesh Raj. So a few questions from my side. One, on the console debt number, can you just break this number between the private InvIT, Mumbai, Pune, and the other projects, and the standalone corporate debt?
Yes. With respect to the private InvIT is not consolidated with IRB. With regard to the segmentation of the debt, roughly 5,900 crores is on Mumbai, Pune. 3,000 crores debt is on Ahmedabad, Vadodara. To be very precise, 3,100 crores. And VK1, we have approximately 800 crores of debt. On the parent company debt, basically excluding OD, it will be roughly 5,400 crores. And Modern Road Makers working capital facility, we have roughly 700 crores.
Okay.
And overdraft, which is backed by FD, will be close to 900 crores.
Got it. Also, sir, if you can just highlight the cost overrun in the private InvIT for which the subdebt has been given by IRB. So when do we expect this money to be returned back to us? Where are we in the process with NHAI or authorities in general?
Basically, with respect to the amount which is receivable from the private trust, and we will be paid off once the private trust receives from the NHAI. And private trust, as and when the projects are getting completed, are filing claim with the NHAI. And typically, as the process goes, basically, if the claims is settled in cancellation, so typically we will receive within a 1 year. But if it goes in arbitration, that will take 1 to 2 years time. And in fact, in terms of building our business model, we have not factored cash flow coming from this claim amount, and whatever the amount will be released within 1 or 2 years, that will be the surplus. And as I explained in my initial commentary, that in terms of the repayment of IRB debt also, 90% of the debt is due beyond 23. And just to share with you a repayment of Mumbai-Pune, this year we will be repaying close to 1.5 billion, and next year we will be repaying close to 4 billion rupees. Ahmedabad, Vadodara also the repayment is close to 1 billion in this year and close to 1.6 billion in next financial year. So there is no substantial repayment for the company in terms of repayment of either the project debt or basically corporate debt. And project debt can be easily met out of the project cash flow.
Sure. And sir, on the expected order inflow, what number are you targeting? Because we are now seeing despite this increase in the order inflow in FY21, we are still seeing the order book to sales ratio getting a bit stressed. So I was just wondering as to how we intend to keep that FY20 construction revenue expectation. And what is the kind of order inflow that we expect this year? Because whatever we win this year may not contribute to the construction revenue in FY22.
Yeah, good morning. Maiska this side. So I would like to say here that last whole year in terms of order awards, it was primarily a washout. The order awards picked up only around December last year. And till March, NHAI has tried their best to put out as many projects that they could. They have a ready order book right now, which they will be a good pipeline, which will be getting tendered out in this full year. So my sense is that you are right. The order book depletion and the order book addition has to be very closely watched, and we are very much clued on that aspect. As you see, we have bagged 2 projects end of the financial year, and those will be made to go under construction by end of September. So in terms of HAM projects, what we have seen is achieving financial closure is pretty fast. So the turnaround time from order wins to making the project go under construction will not be that long. So even if we win, say, till September this year, another 5,000 crores of projects, those projects can begin by 4th quarter of this year. So we have good visibility in terms of execution for this full year plus half of next year. And by September this year, if we win another 5,000-7,000 crores of orders, then the continuity and a gradual growth can be very well ensured. So that is the focus with which we would be working on.
Great, sir. One last question before I move back into queue. So this dollar bond, have we hedged it, and what is the effective rate for us after hedging?
Yeah, Tushar, you want to go for it?
Sir, with respect to the dollar bond, it's a fully hedged, and the cost is 9.97%.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll get back in queue.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Tina Virmani from Kotak Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. My question is regarding the debt reduction plan, like you specified for Mumbai, Pune, and for Ahmedabad, Vadodara. Apart from this 1,600 crore amount that you mentioned that has been used for this short-term prepayment of short-term debt, is there any further reduction plan for the parent company for IRB?
My sense is 265 crores of debt will get prepaid in this year. And next year another 300 to 400 crores. And most of the debt, as Anil very clearly mentioned, was due for repayment beyond 23.
Okay, so this 265 is over and above that 1,600 crore which has been prepaid.
Yes. Those are the scheduled repayments which are already being serviced accordingly.
Okay. So what is the standalone debt as of now on the book for the core EPC arm, net debt number?
Net debt number, as Anil mentioned, is 5,400 crores, right, Anil?
Sir, that's a gross number. Net number will be close to 4,000 crores.
Yeah.
Okay. And regarding your investments planned for the existing under construction projects and the new projects, what will be the schedule of equity investments for the existing portfolio?
Equity investment for existing portfolio will be roughly, including the private trust and the project which we have recently bagged, will be close to 5 billion in this year, roughly 2 billion in FY23, and roughly 2.5 billion in FY24. So that will translate close to 9.5 billion total investment.
And this includes the recently awarded projects also?
This includes Dankuni project and the Himachal Pradesh HAM project as well.
And VM7 also?
Yes, VM7 also. VM7 we have already infused the substantial equity. I think close to 1 billion, less than 1 billion equity is pending. Oh, sorry, VK1. VM7, the equity left out will be around 2.5 billion.
Okay, but that's part of this plan of 5, 2 and 2.5.
Yes.
That's included in this.
Yes.
Sure, sir. Sure. That's it, sir, from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Prem Khurana from Anand Rathi. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question, sir. So just to begin with, possible to share as in what is the land status on the 2 new projects that you've been able to manage now? Because I think whether you will be able to why I ask this is essentially because whether you would be able to book numbers from these 2 projects would depend on whether you will get to have appointed dates in this year itself or not. So when I see VM7, it has taken us slightly longer than our earlier expectation. So if you could help us with the land status here, sir, for the 2 new projects.
On VM7, it has taken a little longer, but the issues across that particular whole Baroda-Mumbai Expressway are resolved to date. So the other package will not take longer. And as far as Himachal and Bengal are concerned, the land acquisition status is pretty good. And in that particularly, if you see Bengal project, it is a 4 to 6 lane project. So not much land acquisition is involved anyways. So we don't expect delays in terms of execution for these 2 projects beyond October.
Sure. Okay. And Tushar, would it be possible for you to kind of break your order backlog down into how much of it is essentially hybrid annuity and how much is BOT? And also, if you could clarify, if there was any adjustment in the order backlog this quarter, because when I look at the numbers and compare it with last quarter, the change works out to be almost around 33 odd billion rupees, which is what we've managed in terms of new orders. But essentially, since we've executed a part of our order backlog, then the gross addition works out to be almost around 43 odd billion rupees. So if you could clarify on one, the change in the order backlog, and also, if you could help us with the split in terms of how much of it is essentially hybrid annuity and how much is BOT.
In terms of the split of the order book, basically December 20 we had an order book of 4,400 crores, and out of that we have executed 750 crore rupees, and balance execution in this quarter was O&M and change of scope and utility shifting. And if I will reduce the 750 crores from 4,400 crores, the balance order book as on out of the December order book was 3,650 crores. New order we have bagged roughly 3,300 crores, and the COS work which is added every year we execute the COS work, that is also we have added COS work in our order book. Then outstanding order book as on 31st March, COS work is around 800 crores, and EPC order book balance as on March 31st, 21 is 7,750 crore rupees.
Sure. And how would the split be between hybrids and the BOTs?
We will come back with that number shortly.
Sure. And just one small clarification on this. I mean, we've been getting the COS on a regular basis now. So fair to assume, I mean, you will get to have this on a regular basis even in FY 22 and 23?
Yes. So basically, last 3 years, the company has done a COS work of 450 to 500 crores on per annum basis. Till December 20, we have not included COS order as a part of order book. And when COS works gets executed and forms part of the revenue, this leads the reconciliation to order book. And to avoid such situation in future, we have assessed the COS work and included same as a part of order book close to 8 billion.
And with respect to your question on the HAM and the BOT split, the HAM order book would be around 3,000 crores and balance towards BOT.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vibhor Singhal from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for taking my question. Tushar, just one clarification. You mentioned that the impact of COVID in the second wave in the toll collection is around 15 to 20%. So we are talking of the toll collection right now being 15 to 20% lower than what it was in March. Am I right in getting that?
This was in comparison of the fourth quarter.
Okay, fourth quarter. So vis-a-vis March, where would we be, probably let's say at this point of time?
I didn't get your question. Can you repeat?
Versus March 2021, where would the current toll collection be if I were to look at the average daily toll collection?
Yeah, so basically in terms of the, as compared to the last year the collection in the March was hardly 30 to 40%. And this year, as Tushar has explained that initially in April month, it was basically around 15-20%, and May it has increased to around 25%. So basically, as compared with the last year, the collection is far better if I will compare the same month of the last year.
So I would put it this way that if I have to compare first quarter of last year, we will still be showing a growth. But if I have to compare Q on Q, there will be a 25% dip.
Okay, so Q on Q we are looking at 25% dip.
April and May. I mean, if I'm looking at the 2 months, April and May, considering the lockdowns.
Considering the lockdown. So in the 2 months, we probably be down around 25% Q on Q.
So I'm saying you already have the numbers for Q4 project-wise. So those project-wise numbers will see a decline of 20 to 25% in first quarter because of lockdowns, but they will still be much higher than the year-on-year numbers if you compare it in that balance.
Fair enough. That explains it. Also, sir, what is the gross consolidated debt right now at the end of March this year?
It's a 16,700 crores. And
16,700 crores.
Yeah, net debt will be close to 13,700 crores.
Right, sir. And so you mentioned that at the parent level, the debt is around 5,400 crores, MRM is 700 crores, and overdraft is around 900 crores. So put together, it comes out to be around 7,000 crores of debt, which is the non-SPV debt.
Yes, and plus cash balance of 2,651 crores.
Fair enough. So, sir, what is the outlook on this 7,000 crores of non-SPV debt, given that we have equity requirements coming in for the new HAM projects and BOT projects, and the cash flow from Ahmedabad, Vadodara and Mumbai, Pune, I believe, would be sufficient for their own debt repayment, and there might be some surplus over it. What could this 7,000 crore number look like over the next year or so maybe? Do you expect it to increase because of the equity requirement, or you think we'll be able to manage it at current level?
Equity requirement will be met out of the cash available with the company. And debt, basically, OD we should not consider it as debt because that is backed by the FD. Now the holding company have 5,400 crores of debt, and out of that only 10% is payable in next couple of years. So there also the repayment is very thin. And in terms of the 700 crores of working capital limit for the modern road makers, it's a kind of working capital and that continues years together. So there is no repayment for the modern road makers.
Right. So we should be able, so the net net, even if I remove the OD part, 5,400 crores of debt, we are supposed to pay only 10% of it. So even if we take more, I think we should be able to maintain that current level next year.
Yes, that's right.
Right.
And see, over the years, and one more point is this debt can be unwound on a self-sustaining basis given the fact that most of the capex is coming to an end, and the last projects have well stabilized and are now generating positive cash flows. Take case in point Mumbai Pune. So unwinding of this debt gradually should not be a challenge to my mind.
Sure, sir. That's really helpful. Thank you so much. That's all from my side. Thank you so much for taking my questions and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Parikshit from HDFC. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Congratulations on the set of numbers. So my first question
Sorry
is...
to interrupt, Mr. Parikshit. So there's a disturbance coming from your line, sir.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, Parikshit.
Yeah, so the question is on, you said that there's a drop of 25% in collections, April and May month. So have you filed, have you invoked the force majeure clause with NHAI, get reprieve on the shortfall?
So Parikshit, as a process, wherever the collection is dipped below 90%, we are just filing the claim as per the force majeure circular announced last year.
So the expectation is like what NHAI, the kind of Atmanirbhar package they had given for the last year's COVID wave 1. Do you expect that in similar lines we'll get some extension, like last year we got 3 to 6 months kind of extension and a threshold of collection reaching a threshold of 90%. So do you think the similar kind of release can be extended this time also?
Yeah, so when we say that minimum 90 days and maximum 180 days, that is still eligible for us with that circular. So the impact is still going on due to the state-wise lockdown. We'll be filing our claims under that announcement or on this lockdown being announced in the states.
Okay. See, I think the matrix in the contract is very clear that whenever the revenue falls below 90% due to any of the force majeure event, then the calculation, the loss to that extent has to be covered. So ultimately, when as an interim relief, they have talked about 3 to 6 months of extension, as Tushar mentioned. So ultimately, after the first wave, second wave, third wave, these are events which will play out over next 20 years. So once this is crystallized, they will give and notify the final extension project-wise, whatever they intend to give. But to give a visibility to the sector, they have already said 3 to 6 months. In case if the 90%, if the revenues remain below 90%, then whatever is the exact calculation that will have to be submitted, and once the total impact is calculated, the final number will be arrived. But the mechanism in the contract is very, very robust and very clear in terms of working and arriving at the desired extension.
And even on the under construction projects, you will get EOT for similar amount for which
we have already received that.
Okay, so you may get some inflation benefits on account of that on HAM projects.
Yes.
Okay. So the second question was, last year we did manage to get, despite such dismal bidding on the BOT side, so we've been able to get one package, one project. So how do you see the pipeline this year? Do you think that the share of BOT will go up this year, given the encouraging, so whatever small amount of bid happened last year, there was a decent response from the developer side. Do you think that NHAI will come up with more projects this year at least?
Yeah, so we did an analysis of all the projects that were awarded in the last financial year. And our market share, in spite of stiff competition, as you very correctly said, was still at around 5.5%. of the total orders awarded by NHAI across BOT and HAM projects. So, and including TOT actually. So, if I look at this year, they have talked about a very good number of 4,500 kilometers that they intend to bid out. So, if that happens, even we sustain the 5 to 7% margin market share, that itself can resolve our order book issue to a great extent.
Okay. So now coming to TOT, sir. So I think earlier, Tushar did mention in one of the media interactions about the TOT. So how do you see the TOT thing panning out, and what kind of opportunities you can play there? So you can touch upon that as well.
See, I think they are increasingly reducing the size of TOT projects, making it much more bankable. So it's an interesting opportunity, and each project has to be studied in isolation to my mind, because each project can have different challenges, each package can have a different challenge. But on a smaller size of be a TOT project, it makes definitely a very compelling proposition to participate.
But how do you look at funding it? So is it like through the private InvIT route, or you will do it through the IRB standalone only? So how will you do
it? Depends on the size and the overall investment requirement. If it's a very small project not requiring a massive investment, it can certainly be handled at IRB standalone as well.
Okay. Just on the margins on now, so last year we had seen some increase, very heightened competitive intensity, the EPC and more number of bidders coming in HAM. So just your views on the scenario of heightened competition in HAM, so view on margin on HAM projects, and given the commodity prices which are there, so how do you see the margins in these two segments playing out for you in this financial year? EPC margins.
So certainly the margins have been under pressure across the sector because of massive participation. But if you look at end of FY21, most players have a robust visibility on order book now. No doubt nobody has an order book visibility of more than 2 years, because the construction period itself is 2 years. But the order continuity is there, and that's the reason why we are always more comfortable doing a BOT project, which is around 2.5 years, and the competitive intensity being less on that part of the story. So we will keep balancing our order book wins on BOT and then HAM in that sequence of preference. But my sense is that this competitive intensity should reduce this year, because the earlier won projects also need to be executed. And the aggressiveness that has been shown when it's put to execution will have challenges, and most people will learn from their mistakes, and the intensity should go down. That's historically what I have seen in the last 25 years.
Right. Okay. So on the EPC guidance for revenues and margins, any guidance on margins and revenue or growth for next year, for FY22, if you can provide some sense there?
So, Parikshit, as basically we don't provide any kind of guidance in terms of basically next financial year, but order book, what we are having roughly 7,700 crores, that will get executed over the period of next 2 years. And that itself will result around 20-25% kind of uptake in the construction revenue. And basically overall revenue on the backdrop of the BOT revenue will be also increasing in this financial year. And both put together, the BOT and construction both put together, I think 20-25% kind of jump in the revenue we should expect from the current order book, and also in terms of the toll collection on backdrop of the health what we have witnessed in Q3 and Q4 of FY21. And we believe that post this travel restriction is basically lifted, then there should be a spurt in the toll collection as we witnessed in last year.
Okay. Just and on the margin side, sir, just on the margin, EBITDA margin.
EBITDA margin, basically considering the mix of the BOT and construction, should remain in range of 45 to 48%.
And EPC will be about 25-27%, in that way?
Yeah, I think around 25, 26, 25, 24, 25%, considering the mix of HAM and BOT.
Right. And just last thing, sir, on besides the road segment, are we looking at opportunities in other mobility projects like railways, privatization, or state BOT like Ganga Expressway, or water HAM? So if you can touch upon these segments, some of the non-road segments, if there is any potential strategy we are working towards growing or expanding the portfolio there. And given that there has been a low awarding in the BOT toll project, so if you can just touch upon this.
So I think BOT projects in UP SRDC, they have UPIDA has come with 5 of BOT projects, and those we will be certainly looking at. And there, I'm expecting some BOT projects this year, plus HAM will be looking at. And other projects which you talk about, we can see case by case, and if it suits us, we'll go ahead with that.
Okay. And something like a station redevelopment, like a CSMT station redevelopment or Thane station redevelopment, or so those kind of opportunities which have an associated real estate component.
We will evaluate those, but the focus will certainly be on highways rather than getting digressed into anything non-core.
And any last thing, sir, any plans on monetization of the land bank across the Mumbai-Pune Expressway? So any plans there?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay, sir, sure. Thank you. And all the best. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Jiten Rushi from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, sir, and hope everyone is fine, the IRB family. Thanks for taking my question. So my first question is on the execution, EPC execution in Q1. So what kind of decline we have seen over Q4 in terms of labor availability and the execution run rate?
So as far as labor availability, I think the challenge which we faced last year due to nationwide lockdown and the migration of labor, that is, I think it has been overcome, and we have our employees stationed at the sites only. So that part has been taken care, and our execution is on the pace what we have seen in the Q3 and Q4 of this last financial year.
So basically, we have not seen any labor attrition in April and May, if we can say that.
No, I wouldn't say that. There would be some reduction, but it is well under control where the execution is not marred. Is how I will put it.
Okay, sir. And sir, on the traffic growth, so what was the traffic growth for the full year FY21 in Q4, and what is our expectation for FY22, and what was the decline in traffic growth so far in Q1 FY22?
So as we mentioned earlier in the call, as far as Q1 compared with this year Q1 of FY22, the numbers will be higher as it was quite down for the last year due to the nationwide lockdown. Whereas from the traffic growth assumption, we in sequential basis, the Mumbai-Pune project has achieved 6% growth from in Q4 as compared to Q3. So once this normalcy comes back, we should be able to see similar kind of growth in coming quarters.
So just to add to what I said, if we see the whole of 2021 as you were wanting to understand, I would say till end of September we had reached the pre-COVID level. December we saw year-on-year growth where it was felt might be due to pent-up demand. But that proved to be wrong, and the growth continued to be strong in Q4 as well. And in certain projects, we have seen 6% of year-on-year growth in Q4. And as we mentioned, first quarter of this financial year might see again a dip of 20-25% due to the lockdown pertaining to the second wave. But it would still be a growth compared to Q1 of 2021.
So basically Q1 we can see a 30-35% decline in traffic growth, but overall we expect 5% growth in FY22 overall, what I can say.
Yes.
Right, sir?
Yeah.
Right. And sir, and one last question, sir. Equity investment, as sir said, so what has already been done and invested so far in the HAM projects?
So in terms of the HAM project, VK1, we have already infused equity investment of close to 200 crores.
That's it. And now we are able to invest 950 crores, right, sir?
Both the HAM BOT, including the
together.
Two project wins.
Yes. That's it. Okay, so that's it from my side. Stay healthy, stay safe. Thanks a lot, sir, and all the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. The last question is from the line of Arun Kejriwal from Kejriwal Research. Please go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. This question is for Mr. Maiskar. Just wanted to understand, we have a InvIT now coming from NHAI. Your take on what this would mean for the InvIT sector, and could this open up more InvITs coming, make it more competitive environment, or how?
Good morning, Kejriwal ji. Nice speaking to you after a long time. So yes, it's a very interesting space that we are also watching with our clients coming into the InvIT space, as I would put it. And I think that will, that to my mind is a very interesting construct, because what happens is right now we are dealing with investors, and whatever challenges and problems we face on projects, we keep dealing with them in our own way and try to ensure the investors don't have any losses and we create value for the investors. Now NHAI is getting into that same role. So they will understand our pain points more in a more better way, and that will pave way in solving the problems that we face now that they are putting themselves into the same shoes, is how I'll put it.
Okay. So considering this factor, and if you remember that we had a lot of foreign investors who had also put money into various projects, buying blocks that were offered earlier, can this actually mean that road development in India can take a quantum leap, maybe in the next year, maybe in the next 2 years down the line?
See, the order pipeline at NHAI is already a very robust one, and they have been unfolding it. Now it actually will establish an accountability towards ensuring returns to the investors. And
Okay.
NHAI is actually getting into that role now, to my mind, where they have to ensure returns to the investors, because the investors will be investing into NHAI InvIT with a clear objective of getting returns.
Right.
So when they have to ensure returns to the investors, they will have to realize, and they will also have to ensure that their projects do well, they are able to generate cash flows, they are able to pay out the monies to their investors. So they will also feel the heat when projects remain closed for 5 months, 6 months together for farmer protest, and they will also have to answer all the questions what we are answering you guys.
Right. So, sir, on a cheeky note, if I can end, better time for investors coming ahead.
Yes, of course.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Sudhir Hoshing for closing comments.
We would like to thank all the analysts and investors on the call. We look forward to host you on the next call as well. Happy weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes your conference for today. We thank you for your participation and for using ResearchBytes conferencing services. You may please disconnect your lines now. Thank you and have a great day.